Mobile phones, laptops, smartwatches. Where would we be without the gadgets that we could take with us anywhere? Probably back in 1989, before this little beauty became an instant classic. Video gaming really exploded in the 80s, with arcades filling up with cabinets and consoles finally taking over everyone's lounge. But the one thing that they weren't is mobile. That was until the Game Boy came along, where pixels really became portable.
The Nintendo Game Boy was released in 1989 and quickly became the must-have toy, selling over 300,000 units in its first 2 weeks in Japan alone. The Game Boy came bundled with Tetris, whose odd-shaped blocks took over the puzzling world, selling over 35 million copies. Despite its name, the Game Boy transcended age and gender.
You don't stop playing because you get old. But you could get old if you stop playing.
In the US, 46% of Game Boy players were female, and having achieved such market saturation, Game Boys are still easy to find. So the real value lies in mint condition box sets and the rarest of games.
It shouldn't be too difficult to track down an original Game Boy. In fact, I've come to Croydon to meet a man who's got several. All right, Kev.
You all right?
So how much would an original Game Boy go for nowadays?
The original Game Boy, they go for about £35. Tetris and Mario games, they always seem to retain their price because, you know, everyone knows those games. Final Fantasy Mystic Quest goes for quite a lot of money.
How much money?
Nearly 100 quid, I think.
For a Game Boy game? Wow, so it wasn't just about the Game Boys though, it was also about the kind of crazy peripherals that you get with it.
Yeah.
And I have to say, I used to have this one. This is the Handy Boy. It's so ludicrous. When you ended up putting it on, suddenly it wasn't quite so portable anymore. Look at it.
The Game Boy's final form. Well, if you want something a little bit less crazy than the Handy Boy, you've got the infamous Game Boy camera.
What was that used for?
The original selfie machine, basically.
Yes, with Game Boy camera, you can turn photography into photography.
Smile, you're on Game Boy camera.
You could put cat things over your face. So they were kind of way ahead of the time there. I mean, these are kind of like Snapchat filters, basically.
Yeah.
What was your favourite game on the Game Boy?
Tetris. It's like the original Candy Crush.
Yeah, it is. Oh, well, look, thank you so much. This has been fantastic. I'm just going to steal all of these.
Hey.
Kev sold me an original Nintendo Game Boy as well as some other little goodies, but I wanted to see if I could bring this pocket rocket into the 21st century. So I asked our resident retro gaming expert Simon Ellis to make me a mod of my own using the latest miniature tech. He started by taking the Game Boy apart, attaching a new small monitor and a few extra buttons. Next, he replaced the battery terminal and cartridge slot for a control board that he soldered onto a Raspberry Pi Zero. His final trick was to attach an SD card reader to the original Game Boy cartridge, which can then be read by the Pi Zero inside. I've asked the guys from Engadget to take a look at my modded Game Boy.
So here it is, and I have to say, I'm quite excited about this one because look, it's still exactly pretty much the same from the outside, and now it's got loads of games in it and it's effectively just a small computer being a Game Boy.
It's pretty crazy, isn't it? And from what I'm told, it doesn't just play Nintendo games either.
How does it work? Like, where's all the games actually stored?
So inside here, there's like this tiny little credit card size computer.
Yeah.
It just costs like a £5.
Yeah.
And you connect that up, you stick in a little SD card that you've preloaded with all the little games. And here you got like games from Atari, Game Boy Color.
Okay, I need to play things. Sorry, I'm just
Well,
going to
you have
ignore
to
you.
play Super Mario at least.
You know what, I'm just going to mix it up. I'm going to go with Mega Drive on a Game Boy, yeah. This is one of my fave mods, I have to say, just because Game Boy was such a big part of my life, and being able to play like even more games of that era that were so special to me is the best. I would happily leave my phone at home.
And that's the thing, like, not only are you playing games that were built for this system, you're playing games that were built for something that wasn't even Nintendo. So what you've got here is like so much cooler.
So I think it's fair to say, Matt, that you like our mod, right?
For sure. I mean, who wouldn't want to play Sonic, Mario, and all these other games on a Game Boy? Especially something that you haven't probably played in years. You're getting far more use out of now, and it costs you next to nothing.
We're used to pulling out our phone for a quick 10-minute gaming fix, but this little grey box really did start a revolution. Play without the need for a plug socket. So don't leave yours around gathering dust. Whether original or modded, there's still a lot of fun to be had.